Okay, we are recording. Olive, how are you today?
Good, I'm doing good. I'm just hanging at my friend's studio loft in Manhattan right now. We're gonna do some
Wonderful.
recording later.
Lovely stuff. Lovely stuff. Well, look, let's kick off your playlist. And the easiest way to do that is for me to ask you to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
Yeah, I kind of the first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this was "Be My Baby" by the Ronettes. And it's kind of funny because the intro is very short, but it's one of those intros that you hear it and you know exactly what song it is before the rest of the song kicks off. And it's just so, I mean, I think that whole song in general, I regard it as like probably the greatest piece of recorded music of all time. Like it's just so transcendent of everything, you know? And Yeah, it just holds a special place in my heart. Oftentimes when I'm drumming on a record or something, it'll be like, okay, do the Be My Baby beat. And it's just such like a universally known thing that really just like hits home every time.
And it's got like right towards the end, like it's just got like a drum feel that it's just like a machine gun. It's so good. And
Yeah.
like it's my favorite single of all time. Like I do think it's the greatest piece of recorded music ever.
Yeah.
And and the intro is just absolutely magnificent. And I saw an interview with I think it's Carney Wilson, Brian Wilson's daughter, who was
Mhm.
in Wilson Phillips and stuff, and she was talking about when Brian heard "Be My Baby," and obviously the Spectre production and such,
Yeah.
and it just flipped him, and she said for about 3 years her whole life was just woke up in the morning by dum 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 cha, like just said like it was just on loop while
Yeah.
Brian was trying to figure out how the fuck someone can create that. And yeah, it is genius. And Ronnie's voice is outrageous.
Yeah. It's incredible. It's like pure, I feel like great songs and recordings are like miracles, and Be My Baby is just like such a perfect example of that. It's just an absolute miracle that it exists. And like, yeah, it's just like the genesis of so much of modern music, because
Yeah.
like Brian Wilson getting obsessed with it, and then the Beatles looking the Pet Sounds, and then the Beatles, and then like just everything. I don't know. It's incredible. I wish I should start listening to it every morning.
And then it kind of went full circle, I guess, because Spectre
Mhm.
then ended up producing Lennon. And
Yeah,
like, so yeah,
yeah,
love it, love it. I mean, I don't love Phil Spector. He's a pretty awful human, but
yeah,
he was a great producer.
yeah.
um, okay. Um, well, look, let's go back a little bit, and I'm going to ask you now to tell
Mhm.
me the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you, please.
Um, the first song that had an emotional impact, I this one was tough because I feel like there was a lot. Like I loved music as a very little kid. I had like this little boombox radio, and my dad had like a pretty good CD collection at the time, and I would just go through everything, just like putting it on and then like just dancing to it like crazy in my living room. And but so I think like there's a number of things that kind of gave me that first like emotional attachment reaction, but I thought of Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles because that was the first song that scared me, that like I listened to it and I got scared, like spooked, like, and I think that's such like an interesting thing. I remember it was like it must have been like one of the first couple times like I was like home alone by myself and I put on one of my favorite CDs was the Beatles like the red one like
Yeah.
the Beatles compilation. Yeah. I had that and I put that on and Eleanor Rigby came on and I was just like I was looking out the windows like yeah, it's just such like a haunting song. I don't know. It's cool.
And I think as a kid as well, like it's really sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Sort of like storyboarded. You can picture Eleanor Rigby, can't
Mhm.
you? It's
Yeah.
such a story in a song, and I think it's got quite sort of strong visuals attached to it. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I definitely like remember I could like just see it. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm waiting at the window." Like I'm like, yeah, so that was pretty cool. I think I when I was a kid like my dad my it was weird because like my mom's from England. She grew up in Rochdale, right outside of Manchester, and it's funny like she was like less outspoken about music and like putting me onto things, but she was the one who like had like the really good taste. So she would like kind of like, slip me things um like that. But then like my dad was like really into like jazz fusion stuff. Like Chick Corea Electric Band and like Bella
Yeah.
Flat. So I was listening to a lot of different mixtures of things and like a lot of things that like had no words at all, and felt like an emotional attachment to that. So then like, um, yeah, when I started listening to like things with lyrics and like that could paint more of a picture like that, I think, um,
And
yeah,
being
it really
exposed
affected
to
me.
like
Yeah.
having like music like that around you was like obviously home is quite sounds like a very musical environment. Was was there like instruments? Like how did the drums come around?
Yeah, so my dad played um guitar earlier in his life. He was a session player for a bit, but then like pretty quickly got like really crippling arthritis. Um, and he quit and became a social worker. But yeah, so there were like guitars in the house. We had like an electric piano. Um, and I got like a couple of piano lessons when I was really young. That was like the first thing I learned. And then for in elementary school in fourth grade, they're like, okay, you can sign up for, band or orchestra now. And at that point I said, and like you get to like pick your instrument. And I was like, I want to play drums, percussion. And they told me, they're like, oh, there are too many drummers already, so you're gonna play the saxophone. So from that point on, I was given a saxophone and like studied the sax like pretty much all throughout school. Um, and kind of a little when I was maybe like I must maybe when I was like 13 or 14, my younger brother got a little drum set. And he didn't play it as much and I just like kind of naturally just started messing around on it. And always kind of just would put like headphones on and just like play along to like Green Day and Nirvana and stuff like that. Um, and but like never had a lesson on it, never like really took it that seriously. And then when I was a junior in high school, my friends were in a band that was gigging around Brooklyn a lot. We would all like take the train into the city. And their drummer was going to college, and they were like, Olive, like you kind of play the drums, like, do you want to do this? And I was like, sure. So I just like kind of hopped right in there and like, yeah, ostensibly I learned to play the drums like on stage, like
Yeah.
as like a 16-year-old, like playing DIY venues in Bushwick. And yeah, and that's kind of just how that took off.
Wonderful. Well, let's stay in the formative years because I'm going
Yeah.
to ask you to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
At school, I would say this is like high school. It would be the song Easy by this band called Pure X. They were a band. I remember the first moment I ever heard that band. It was on like this school trip somewhere. I forget. It was like just like upstate New York to like a campground or something. And we were like on this hike, and my friend um at the time, who it was like this was like I think of high school sometimes as like two acts, kind of like act one is like ninth, 10th grade, like you're kind of coming into yourself, but you're also like a lot of you still have like I still have like a lot of my friends from like being a little kid,
Yeah,
and like being kind of like a shithead like BMXer, like skateboarder. And then like those friends kind of shifted off into doing things I didn't really want to do. And I like kind of shifted more and like with the artsy crowd, the crowd that everyone ended up to be queer. Um, and yeah, this was like kind of the beginning of that. And this is my friend Cal, and we had a really close friendship, and they showed me a ton of music. But anyway, on this trip, we were on a hike, and they took their headphones off, put them on my head, and they were like, listen to this. And it was just like immediately like, oh my God, like my life has just changed. Like my whole world just changed. Like it was the first music I'd heard that felt like it's like just like truly is like the soundtrack like to my world, kind of, if that makes sense. Like um it's definitely, it is like objectively very kind of like soupy, like reverbed out music, like but anyway, yeah, this song, the whole album Pleasure is one of my favorite albums of all time. And that song Easy, um it's just from then on and to this day continues to save my life. It just is, it's one of those songs that's just like, when I'm feeling like my most low and most dark, it's just like, oh, okay, like I'm not alone. Like there's something. It just makes sense of everything else.
yeah,
For me, and it was kind of the first song and record um to do that in my life. And I feel like it once I heard that, it just kind of, I feel like, became like a guiding light for, just, I mean, at the time, just like finishing high school,
yeah.
like trying to graduate, and like yeah.
Fantastic. Tell me the first song you remember buying from a record store, please, Olive.
That would be um I went to Tower Records in Carl Place, Long Island, and got Off the Wall by Michael Jackson. Um, and yeah, it's just it's awesome. It's so great. And Rock with You,
Yeah.
it's probably my favorite off that record. But yeah, again, another thing I would just like dance to in my living room.
Have you have you ever heard the like there's like a box set of it, and it's got all the studio sessions as well.
Mhm.
And if you ever get an opportunity to listen to that, I mean, we spoke about the genius of Brian Wilson and Phil Spector and such, but oh my God, like hearing Michael Jackson, and there's a bit where they're recording Don't Stop Till You Get Enough.
Hmm.
And you got those sort of like little percussive sounds, like them,
Hmm.
like tinka 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 tinka, so, like behind it, and you can hear him talking to Janet, and Janet must be a child, like she must be so young, and he's showing Janet how to play like on a bottle to get that sound,
Wow.
and you've just got a very young Michael Jackson as
Yeah.
well, just with just a vision that he's just
Yeah.
and such a I guess obviously with the benefits of Quincy Jones and such, it took it somewhere else. But
Yeah.
you know, whatever people's thoughts are on Michael Jackson, and as a musician and a creative force, I think Off the Wall, Thriller, Bad. I think he was just untouchable, just a creative powerhouse. That I think there's even in one of the sort of last albums. I had someone on the podcast maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and they were saying that he pioneered this thing. You may know about it, but I didn't realize not everybody gets goosebumps.
Hmm.
And obviously when you get that goosebump reaction to music, it's because it's created some sort of feeling
Yeah.
response, and an emotional thing has triggered a physical response as
Yeah.
such, I guess. And he found out that there is a certain frequency of something that induces goosebumps.
Wow.
And I think on one of his last productions, he was utilizing that. So
Yeah.
even when his records, by my opinion, weren't a patch on what he was
Mhm.
creating, earlier on in his career, he still had that sort of vision of like, right, let's create and try something new, and and evolve what I can do, and yeah, try and literally, you know, bring out goosebumps in people,
Yeah.
which is surreal. Yeah, what
Yeah. I gotta check out that box set. I need to hear that.
it's superb. It is. You just hearing
Yeah.
magic being made.
Yeah.
It's really good. And I don't know. Sometimes, as a musician, do you find when you listen to music, you are at times deconstructing it to work out how it's put together?
Um, I I have been like that in my life. I feel like when I first was really getting into like producing music and recording music, I like everything. I was just like, okay, like deconstructing, like how do they do this? Like what's like this would be better if this. Um,
Do you think
and
that makes the process of listening to music better or worse?
worse, 1000%.
Yeah,
Now I just like I feel like I'm at a place now where like I really generally only listen to things that like do give me goosebumps.
yeah,
And like I'm just very quick to tell. Like, and I don't know, maybe it's like rude, but like if I'm at a show and like it's like, oh, like let's check out this band, like I'll walk in the room just like immediately be like, ah, this isn't for me.
yeah, yeah,
And just walk out. Like I don't have that urge to like kind of like dissect things or think about things that I don't know. I don't need to. Like my art, it's so tied up in like my actual art now, like working on stuff and like figuring out how to make stuff work. Whether it's, recording other bands like I am today or like Stars Revenge. That like I don't know. I try not to get stuck in that loop of things. If it's
yeah,
something that like I really love, like Be My Baby, like then I'll go on deep dives of like, okay, how did they do this?
yeah,
But I think for the most part, just like casual, I just like I don't really like li listen to music casually anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me the song that soundtracked your year's clubbing.
Um, yeah, I don't know if you can call it clubbing really, but like going to a ton of shows like almost every night when I was like a senior in high school. It would be this song called Pizza Pasta by this band called Night Manager. And yeah, they like existed for maybe 2 years in Brooklyn. Um, and yeah, just saw them play a bunch and like there was such a cool and like really like innovative in a way, like scene that was going on then. Just
What was
like
that scene like? Give me a sort of insight because I've not heard of this band. So tell me a little bit about that scene
yeah,
and the sort of sound and stuff.
it was kind of like when I was like it's so funny. When I was in it, I didn't have like I loved a lot of the things happening, but I had no understanding of anything. I was like, what's shoegaze? Like everything like back then it was like, oh, everything's just shoegaze. And it's like, oh, like sure, like whatever. So I just like really a lot of bands were doing kind of different variations of like shoegazy, grungy stuff, kind of post-punky, but it was also like I feel like more pop oriented than it is today. In a weird like songwriting wise. Like today, a lot of the scene in New York, there's a ton of like kind of like slowcore, like shoegaze-esque grungy bands, but there's like a toughness now. And I literally just had this epiphany while I was listening to Slow Dive the other day. I was like, shoegaze is like really soft. It's kind of like there's like a really like soft sweetness. Like it's not necessarily like this wall of sound to hide behind. It's more of like a wall of sound to like create like cradle like the emotion. Like it's like an egg that will break or something. But anyway, so there was a lot of like kind of sweet, like poppy, grungy, like reverbed out um kind of stuff going on. And yeah, it was really cool. There's I have another band on my list that also was in that scene. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It was really inspiring. Like it was like going to shows around that time was definitely like what, led me to where I am today and like gave me that first like glimpse of like, oh wait, like what I imagine in my head like exists.
Yeah,
Like a scene of rock music.
yeah.
Um, yeah, it was just all really, really inspiring.
Okay. I'm going to ask you now for a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Yeah, that is gonna be the song "Ashamed" by the Lemon Twigs. Um, yeah, didn't grow up with the Twigs, but they grew up like 15 minutes away from me and Nick from Sunflower Bean. Um, and we met in 2016 and we took them on their first US tour with Sunflower Bean and yeah, they're incredible. They're
Yeah,
like
what a band.
absolute genius savant, like just absolutely incredible. Um, really inspiring. It was really crazy having to play after them every night for a month because we would all be just like watching them like jaws on the floor. And be like, okay, we gotta go.
We got to follow that now.
Yeah. But I love them. They're good friends of mine. And like that song Ashamed, I just it's a wild song. I don't know if you've heard it at all.
I have.
Yeah. But it's really I love songs that are so unapologetically just like honest
Yeah.
and kind of, and even if it's like fucked up and just like a story or whatever, it's just like I feel like that's so important to have those. It's like like a folk tale, you know, it's
Yeah.
like it's just like a metaphor for life and just, you know, just like who are we to judge,
Yeah.
you know? And I think that's really beautiful. I just got chills. I had thinking about it. And I think that's really beautiful and like really really important. It's a really dear song to my heart. And their like live performance video of playing it. It's yeah, it's incredible.
I'm going to ask you now to tell me a song that you think many may not know that you would like them to hear, please.
Okay, yeah, this is also from another unknown band from 2012. Um, they're called Total Slacker. And yeah, the song is called Time Traveling High School Dropout. And it's just kind of a fun, goofy song about, I don't know, like if you could time travel, like what would you see? Like, like I don't know, I can't even explain it. It's so stupid, but it's so
Yeah.
awesome. And like I love the band was so cool because it was like I feel like that was another thing from like that era was this kind of like novice quality mixed with like extreme like technical capability in
Yeah.
music. So like you have like in Total Soccer, like Tucker, he's like a jazz trained guitarist, but then like his band was just like people who were like just starting to like play the drums and like play bass. So like the drumming has this really just like off kilter kind of groove to it that almost it like comes across almost like Ringo, like an even like simpler Ringo kind of thing where it's like do 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 like and it's like that was really inspiring for me as a drummer because it was like, oh, I can do that. Like
Yeah.
that I can do. And um yeah, they were a band I also just saw like, 30 times and just like really left a big imprint on me. I think part of me, even like with Stars Revenge, is just like chasing. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I'm just trying to write a Total Slacker song.
Well, look, I mean, it's
Um,
fitting that you've said that because we've been speaking about everyone else's music and we've not spoken much about yours. So what's happening right now?
yeah. Uh, well, yeah, Sunflower Bean put out a record in 2025. We did some touring around that. We're kind of slowing down for a bit. Um, Julia's putting out her solo record, which is awesome. And yeah, I started my own band where I sing and play guitar and write most of the songs. Um, called Stars Revenge, and me and my writing partner Emily Green, who she plays guitar in Geese. Um, we started it like I guess was it like I think we first got together like early 23, early 2023. Um, and or was it 20? I don't know. I have no concept of time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we got together a couple years ago and we're just like, hey, like, do you want to like just like fuck around and like try to like write together? Um, and we did. And then we like got together like pretty like religiously on like a weekly basis for like 6 months. And then before we knew it, we had a record that like we totally just kind of made. We actually we had this fun kind of like prompt where we would write a song, record it, and then the next week we would like chop and screw that recording and like sample it to make like the basis for like the next song.
Sure.
Um, so that was kind of how like that first Stars record came to be. Um, and yeah, we put that out. We've played a handful of shows around New York. We put a full band together with Christian Ballard on drums and Johnny Caballos on bass. And yeah, it's we have another record done. We're just trying to figure out what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and it's really exciting. I feel like since the first record was very, like, we made it all on the computer, like, it was kind of, I think initially for the band, I was like, okay, we're gonna do like big muff guitars, like, it's gonna kind of be like Smashing Pumpkins, like, hyper poppy kind of thing. Um, because like Emily was really big into vaporwave at that point and whatever. And then like I don't know, we both like randomly got into the replacements, like and like I had never really listened to them like that before. And my mind was just like I was like, oh my God. Like so yeah, that's kind of becoming like our guiding light, like the replacements, Teenage Fan Club, Guided by Voices, just like prolific like
All the
pop
good ones. All
pop
the good
writing.
ones.
Yeah. And it's all like punk rock as hell too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just like I think I think there's a hole in the rock scene right now of like some just like just a ripping band, just kind of like a loose like ripping band, and that's what we strive to be. Like the record we recorded all live to tape, no click track, like um yeah, and I think it's really good. I'm excited. I'm excited for people to hear it.
And if people want to hear it and follow you and keep up the speed with everything that you're up to, where's the best place to do that?
Um yeah, probably Instagram right now, Stars Revenge Band. Instagram. Yeah, we don't have a website. Yeah.
Well, if it's
That's
cool with you, when we put this out, we'll tag you in it. So if people aren't following
yeah.
you already, we'll make it nice and easy for them to do so.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
Wonderful. Olive, thank you so much for giving up your time today to come and
Of
chat
course.
records with me.
Yeah,
And you're the
of course.
first person to mention the Run It's Be My Baby on nearly 700 episodes, and it's my
Oh my
favourite ever
God.
song. So
Yeah.
finally, I got to talk about it. So thank you for that as well.
Of course.
Okay, right. Olive, thank you so much. I'm going to press stop now, but don't go anywhere.
Okay.